Let's talk about if something is a one-to-one function or not. You will recall earlier in the semester that we learned that something is a function if no x value gets repeated. That means the picture must pass the vertical line test. Wherever I draw vertical lines, it can only go through the picture one time. If we did a vertical line here, just one time. If we did a vertical line there, just one time. So this one is indeed a function. But now as we try to decide if it is a one-to-one function or not only does it have to pass the vertical line test, making it a function, but it also has to pass the horizontal line test, meaning that no y value would get repeated. This one fails 3 times there as we cut through 3 different places. So this one is not going to be one-to-one. You can see when we check that answer, since it cut more than one time, it is not a one-to-one function. But now let's look at another one and see what would constitute a one-to-one function. This one's a little hard to see in the small version, but let's blow it up a little bit bigger and see how it looks. First, is it a function? It passes the vertical line test. We're only using each x one time. No x gets repeated because vertical lines would only cut one time. Now, as you look at the left side of this picture, the left side keeps dropping toward negative infinity. As you go left, it keeps moving toward negative infinity. The right side, it's doing it very slowly, but as you go to the right, it keeps on moving up. It's getting higher and higher and higher as we move to the right. So even though this one's a little bit hard to see, when you do horizontal lines, it would only cut one time no matter where you do that horizontal line. So this one passes vertical line test, making it a function, and horizontal line test, saying that it is a one-to-one function. That means this one is a one-to-one function. Now, what about if we were given a list of ordered pairs? To decide if it's one-to-one or not, no x can be repeated, no y can be repeated. So look first at the x's to see if it's a function. 10, 5, -3, none of those got repeated, so it is indeed a function. But what about if it's one-to-one or not? 8, 6, 6, looks like we repeated 6. Since a y value got repeated, this is not a one-to-one function. So no is our answer for this one. How about another? Let's look at this one. On it, for the x's, -4, 0, -1, 3, none of the x's got repeated. What about the y's? -5, 1, 0, 6. That means none of the y's got repeated. That makes it a one-to-one function. Now, if you notice in our directions this time, if something is one-to-one, that's going to mean that it is invertible and we'll be able to find an inverse. When you have something that is a one-to-one function, no x can be repeated, no y can be repeated. It must pass both the vertical line test and the horizontal line test. If those things happen, then you'll have an inverse that we'll talk about a little bit later.